Hey guys, welcome to the Canada Puck Podcast, your weekly, I say with a question mark, maybe some optimism for the new year, podcast recapping the world of sports, specifically hockey and even more specifically in Canada. See, when you go on a detour in your intro, sometimes you stumble and you don't know what you're saying next and you got to think, and that's a dangerous thing. I'm your co-host, Mick, and I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host,
Grant, on Twitter at Fourth Line Sports. Weekly, this is the time of year when people make resolutions. I don't believe in all that funny nonsense, but maybe our resolution will be get back to the Metamucil days. Maybe a little more regular.
Oh, and we've always said that. Like, hockey up until this point is kind of useless. Like, outside of maybe if you're in a hockey pool or, like, avid gambling and stuff like that. But kind of after January 1, it almost does feel like the start of the season, right? Things kind of balance themselves out a little bit more. Outside of, I guess, people in the standings. Like, if you're one of the top teams, you're probably a top team, right? Like, you're probably not sinking at this point. Although you could. But we've seen it in the past. We've seen a couple years ago when Pittsburgh had a miserable first half of the season. After January, they fire the coach. They go on to win the Stanley Cup. St. Louis recently, right? 2019, they were bottom of the league sometime in January and went on to win the Cup, right? So there's still lots of runway left, and we're going to start breaking that down. So hopefully you guys had a good break and watched more hockey than me and Grant did, because I think combined we saw 2.5 periods. Is that right?
You know what? You're overselling my commitment to this hockey equation. Sure, we'll call it 2.5 periods. Okay. 2.5 good periods.
Good.
But this is also so. I wanted to paint a more comprehensive picture for our listeners. And I'm sure you're in the same boat. It's now January. College football, one game left. NFL playoffs on the horizon. Pitchers and catchers report, but baseball season doesn't start till the start of April for me. So we are, as you mentioned, peak hockey time for you and me, at least for me personally.
Yes.
Fantasy sports are at an end. We'll watch NFL playoffs and whatever that ends up being. But I am excited to dig into hockey and actually sink into what I'm expecting to be an entertaining second half.
Solid. And actually, I was going there when I started, and then went on my little diatribe. I might be playing, I might have a little bit of a flu game. I got the emergency that I'm rocking. I got the hoodie and like a sweater underneath because I'm very cold instead of a jersey. So, all right. Good luck, Grant.
Yes. So, I don't know what kind of sickness you're dealing with. I know they're making their way around. But, you know what sucks? The fucking thing I hate most about flus, sickness, illnesses, whatever it is, it doesn't matter what you do. Those two hoodies are going to turn to just sweaty balls, and you're going to start freezing. You're going to be like,
yeah.
You're going to go from scorching to hypothermic in a matter of an hour and a half. By the end of this podcast, I'm betting you're probably down to a wife beater.
I'm taking the shirt off. I'll be ripping it around. Let's go. All right. So this is your first show. We are going to talk a little bit about hockey. We're going to run through all the Canadian teams, kind of do headlines via standings. We're going to have a little puck doku challenge. And then because we're doing it during a weekday, we're going to have some picks. So kind of recap on where we're at in that series and carry on with that for the time being until someone comes up with a better idea.
Yeah.
All right.
And you know what? Maybe there are no better ideas. Maybe this is as good as it gets. Maybe there's often talk of the darkest timelines. I guarantee you there's a world that exists where me and Mick are face down in a drained pool, and that's the end of our lives. Or end of our beautiful stories. Our flames extinguished.
Thin line between me being here and down there. So, yeah. Woo.
So, yeah, maybe this is as good as it gets for us.
NHL All-Stars. Do you care about that? I see the fan vote came out today. Have you looked? Do you care?
So this was one of the few things where I was like, we should talk about this because I actually look forward to shitting on the NHL All-Star Game, and we're not All-Star Game weekend yet. Obviously, we're not there yet, but I would like some preamble before I really dig into this is the worst All-Star Game in all of sports.
It definitely is. Although they're changing it up this weekend, right? With the incentive of the $1 million for the winner of the skills competition. Maybe we see some excitement, right? If we are getting literally the best players, and we're getting the McDavids, and we're seeing, he's the fastest, but what else can he do? That might be kind of interesting to see. But yeah, the actual game is an absolute just horseshit competition. I don't know why it exists. And why they have to be so... why don't they just take the best players? Why isn't it the 32 best players in the league? Why does every team need a representative? Guess what? If you fucking suck, you know who isn't an all-star? Let's see. Who did Anaheim send? Frank Vetrano. I kind of feel like Frank Vetrano, like, remember the whole, who was that guy? Remember the guy that was voted into the All-Star game? Gary Bettman was like, this is stupid. We shouldn't have dumb people. Why does Frank Vetrano in the All-Star game if you're trying to avoid bad players?
John Scott. John Scott was the name you were looking for there. But I do appreciate, so, man, there's so much. I don't even know where to get started. Okay, we'll start with the Scott Niedermayer smear campaigns from Rory Fitzpatrick?
Yeah.
Rory.
Yeah, it was Rory Fitzpatrick. Yeah, good pull.
So, sure, if you're going to make a mockery of this, like, let's make fun of ourselves while we do it Rory Fitzpatrick style. There's actually a kicker, Corey Dicker, from the Chargers. He's doing that this year in the NFL.
Okay.
If you haven't seen the ads, look him up.
Okay.
Anyways, if we're going to be making fun of ourselves, like, let's fucking go full send on making fun of ourselves and dealing with the sarcastic game as best we can. But I don't think that you're right. And it's not, I hate cross-sports references, but I'm fucking doing it all the time. I probably mentioned it in years past. You remember the NBA All-Star Game where every Atlanta Hawks starting five, they all made the All-Star Game?
There was a year, there was a year where just the Detroit Pistons starting five was just the All-Star team.
Yeah. And like, you know what? Why not?
That's badass. They weren't starters. They weren't starters, but the second unit, they came off the bench. It was just the Detroit Pistons. That is really cool. I love that. Make it so that the Stanley Cup champions come back. Right? Oh, Vegas, you won. You have to send some, like, five to six or something representatives, and you're just a team. Like, you're your own little team. You're your entity. You guys all get to hang out together. It's a fun weekend.
That's an interesting... I like that thought. And I think you could probably...
Like if everyone leaves, you send six people. It's the team decides which six players, or the fans decide, or something, right? But no, we really need Cam Talbot to represent the LA Kings.
Is he even playing right now? Is he injured? Anyways, doesn't matter. The other thing,
Nick Suzuki doesn't have to be an all-star. It's fine. Like, he just doesn't have to go.
You know what would have been more appropriate? You know what I would have much rather Carey Price was still the All-Star. He's still the most deserving All-Star on the Montreal Canadiens roster.
Okay, cool. Outside of those names, Oliver Bjorkstrand for Seattle. Like, I don't know. What are we doing here with these All-Stars?
And this is one thing that I before we move on.
Yep, sorry. I was already moving on.
Shitting on other people.
Yep.
$1 million for the skills competition winner makes no sense. Last year, Connor McDavid didn't even compete in the fastest skater competition. Now you're going to say, well, Connor McDavid, we know you're going to win. I don't think it's going to change the dynamic of where they place people. I think they're still going to be like, let's show this person off in this potential skills competition.
But I think the way they're doing it is, what I've heard is there's like a weighted system. So you just race, and it's not like a one-on-one race. You're not racing against another person. It's just the best times, right? And then they'll be weighted, and you get 10 points for first or something like that. So it'll be like hardest shots, skills, like they'll probably have other little events or something. So like it kind of worked. The in-season tournament for basketball was a pretty good success overall, right? And that was just money incentive. So if that gets the All-Star game to at least be a watchable thing, I don't even think they haven't even shown the Saturday nights or the Friday nights or whatever the format is now. When was the last time you saw the skills competition on TV? I don't think they show it anymore. So
yeah, so I get my sports entertainment from CBC, and I know for a fact it's not on there. Mm-hmm. But I guess the point I was trying to make is Connor McDavid didn't compete in fastest skater. We know he's the fastest skater. So why the fuck, like, is that going to change the dynamics this year where they're going to say, Connor McDavid, we've accepted that you're the fastest skater. We need these 10 points more than we need your 3 points that you're going to get in the shooting or accuracy competition. Mm-hmm. Go skate instead. Like, I don't know if it moves the needle.
Interesting. Cool. All right. Awesome. So with that, we'll talk more about the All-Stars, because there's still like 12 players or something like that can still be voted in. So good times. I'm sure. Hopefully fans vote in real people and not Frank Vetrano. Maybe.
Frank Vetrano's teammate or a line mate. You know what? I'd fucking buy you half a meatball sub if you could tell me who skates on the line with Frank Vetrano.
Trevor Zegras?
Oh, you know what? Let's consult the
For me,
interweb.
for meeple sub. I mean, you got to make a guess. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna go reverse standings, bottom up, and we're gonna make fun of teams. So, starting at the bottom, we get the San Jose Sharks and the Blackhawks and the Ducks. Hey guys, there's no Canadian teams. And then the Senators. Son of a gun. Son of a gun.
I wish I had something to say about this. It's your perspective.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's pull up their schedule. Have they done anything? No, they just keep losing. Oh my gosh, like once in a while I look and I'm like, oh, they won 2 games in a row. Oh, and then they lose 3 games in a row. Oh no. I think we recorded sometime in December around like the 13th, 14th, 15th, something like that. They lost. Oh, they lost a lot. They lost to the Knights, the Coyotes, and the Avalanche. Then they beat the Penguins and the Leafs, but then they lost to the Devils and beat the Sabres. Yeah, I got nothing. Senators, you're still in the bottom. I don't know how you're pulling this away. What does... You got, what, Seattle tonight? Then you're at Edmonton, Calgary. That should be a bounce-back game. And they have a bit of a homestand coming up mid-January here. Senators. Yeah, I don't know. Apparently you're not very good.
Yeah, this isn't going to help us move on. Well, this isn't a natural segue into another segment, but it does help us move on from the Senators. Frank Vetrano skates on the line with Mason McTavish and Alex Killorn, according to Left Wing Log.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I will keep the meatball sandwich for next time.
Nice, solid, good. Just put it in the fridge. New Year's resolutions for Mr. Les Senators of Les Ottawa. I don't know, guys. Like, they signed Korpisalo for $4 million for the next 4 years? That's not a good deal. Huh. I was literally thinking, could this team potentially jettison someone like a Claude Giroux, who has some type of value, and trade some assets and go get, like, Yari Saros or something like that? Like, make a move and just bring in a goalie to your organization. You haven't had a goalie since Dominic Hasek, and even then he was hurt all the time. Remember when Dominic Hasek was there and he was just hurt those like 2 years, and you're like, what the hell? Like, I don't think they've ever had a healthy outside of like Craig Anderson or something like that in the Senators. Move some pieces. I don't know. I don't know. I'm at a loss. Senators, you suck.
New Year's resolution for me: pique my attention, make me pay attention to you.
Okay.
Stop fucking sucking.
Yeah, cool. I like it. That's much better than mine. All right. Moving up 2 spots. Oh, no, a couple spots. Oh, 25th overall. Look at that. They're not so terrible after all. The Montreal Canadiens.
Oh, man.
They beat someone noteworthy. Dallas the other night or something like that. So once in a while, they do wake up. The kids can play. Yeah, there you go. Tuesday night, they beat Dallas 4-3. Then Dallas is a good club, so good for you. Before the break, I can't imagine they did anything. Yeah, just lots of peppers, wins and losses. Nothing overly great. So
another team that maybe we're seeing glimpses. I know we've chatted a little bit about Martin St. Louis and what he brings to this team as a coach. Again, this team is not interesting enough for me to be like, I want this team to do good, or I want to see good things. The most entertainment I got out of this team was Carey Price telling a story on Instagram about how he traded like rope, I don't even know, lasso rope.
Okay. Yeah.
For a hockey stick a few years ago. And anyways, he still has the rope. He said this on Instagram the other day. I was like, you know what? Carey Price is a fucking good person.
Sick. Quickly looking at their roster. Yeah. Only UFA they have coming up is Sean Monahan. Cool. New Year's resolution for the Montreal Canadiens. Win the draft lottery? There we go. So talent, yeah, you could play next to that other high pick you guys had. What was his name? Slarkovsky. How's that guy doing? Pretty good? Remember when the Canadiens fans were saying, oh, that guy's going to be better than Austin Matthews. How's that playing for you, Montreal?
Classic example of kicking people while they're down.
Yeah.
We wouldn't do it any other way.
I don't even know if Habs fans are standing up for Slarkovsky at this point. They're like, yeah, that might have been a swing and a miss on our part. But Shane Wright also wasn't the right choice, so it's not like we screwed up.
Okay, so I was thinking this. I was trying to connect the dots. I was like, has anybody noteworthy? What are we? A year and a half removed from this draft? Did anything amount from that draft? Did anybody come out of it so far?
Not really. That's the thing. Like, you're like, aha, you picked the wrong guy. I don't know who the right player was, right? Like, I don't know if there was a standout from that year.
I'm just consulting Hockey DB here, but this brings up an interesting point that I looked into a few days ago, maybe last week sometime. The Pittsburgh Penguins, they have probably the worst draft history out of any team, bar none, over the last, well, basically since 2006. Tell me, can you even name, it went Fleury, who else did they get? Then they got Malkin, then they got Crosby and Letang. Who did they get after that? Name one draft pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins post-2006.
Jordan Staal.
So Jordan Staal was the 2006 pick.
Ah, okay, post that. No, I don't know.
Yeah, and you won't know anybody. Go into Hockey DB, do a deep dive, and tell me. I think.
Yeah, like I feel like there's a defenseman or something like an Olette or something like that. That was
Olimata?
Olimata, maybe. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Because that was like the thing with Crosby was like, oh, they need to get him a young defenseman, and they kept drafting these guys that just kind of went nowhere. Yeah, I pulled up the 2022 draft. Like Logan Cooley, I've heard a little bit of people talking about. Maybe he's something special, but for the most part, yeah, like Montreal, you didn't miss out on anybody. So that's good. It's not like there's like a generational talent sitting behind him. And like Shane Wright, I think, is on his like 12th minor team. Like he keeps getting shipped around and they don't know what to do with him. So everyone is terrible. Cool.
Yep.
Oh, and Connor Geeky. So apparently the Coyotes maybe did something that year. Who'd have thunk it? Puck Doku?
Oh, Puck Doku. Let's take a peek.
All right, so we were playing a game. We're doing Puck Doku, and we're trying to like golf. We each take 3 rounds, a pick per round, and we're trying to get the lowest possible score. So Grant usually ends up with like 3%, and I'm going to try and beat that today. So Grant is the clubhouse leader. What does this get you? Something special later on in the podcast. You'll have to stay tuned to find out. So,
ooh, cookie crumbs. Okay, these are interesting categories. Consider my interest peaked.
All right.
Okay.
For the listeners at home, along the top, we have the Colorado Avalanche, the Minnesota Wild, and undrafted as our categories. And then down the side, we've got the Winnipeg Jets, the New Jersey Devils, and 5+ teams played in a career.
You know what? I'm going to defer. I'm tired of winning, unmercifully beating you. So okay. You know what? You go ahead. You take the first shot today, Mick.
That's because there is no right answers. We have no idea what's going on. Winnipeg Jets, just to confirm, is it just Winnipeg or is it also Atlanta Thrashers?
I don't like this one as much as Immaculate Grid.
Yeah, although Immaculate Grid had one wrong today. It was a Duck and a Canadian, and it was Desjardins. And I'm pretty sure Nicholas Desjardins, and I'm pretty sure he played for the Devils and the Canadians. And I put his name in, and it was wrong. And then afterwards, when I checked, his name was on the list. So
maybe it's one of those super French common names where there's like 6 of them who played in the league.
Could be. All right, so I have to pick. I get first dibs. Oh man, this is one of those bummed categories where I'm like, all right, let's just try and not get anything above 50. So miss is 50. So if you hit above 150%, you did terribly. I'm going to steal. I don't know if this works. I don't know if he played for 5 teams, but I think you said him before, and I think he was an Avalanche. If I went with P.A. Parento for an Avalanche who played for 5 teams, is that going to be like a 0.1%? Then Grant's going to be like, damn it. So I'm going to go with P.A. Parento. 0.8%.
Ooh.
Jeez.
So you stole that from me because I was thinking Jerome Iginla because Iginla was Calgary, Pittsburgh, Boston. Maybe it was L.A. and Colorado, something like that. I'm going to put it in on my screen just to see what it comes up with.
Okay.
Jerome, 7. So, you know what? That's a hell of a point for you.
There you go. Nice, solid.
I am going to go right next to that because there's another guy who's been around for a long time.
Okay.
But now this concerns me because of Ginla with Colorado. I don't think he even finished a season there. Like, I think he was or maybe he was one season. If not, it was like a deadline day pickup for the Avs or like, anyways.
Yes, Jerome McGinley's a confusing one because remember when he was traded to Pittsburgh, but then the trade was voided and he went to Boston, but then he signed with Pittsburgh, so he kind of ended up there anyways, and you're like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, you know what? I don't even remember that. That's some Stump the Schwab knowledge Mick just dropped on all of us.
It's just like this weird, and then anyways, that's so go ahead. Yeah.
So anyways, I said Mark Stahl. I meant, oh my God, what's the other Stahl? Eric Stahl.
Eric Stahl. Okay.
He went Carolina, Minnesota, Montreal, Florida. Anyways.
Yeah. Eric Stahl was in Florida. Okay, that's your guess, Eric Stahl. And then there's like two other teams you haven't thought of because Eric Stahl apparently got around quite a bit. So,
God, another 7%.
7%. All right, so we'll have to come back to this. A commanding 6.2 lead. It's never happened to you before, folks. So you're witnessing history. We move up one spot from 25. Oh, we're still at 25. Oh my gosh. Calgary Flames. I don't know. Like, are you guys doing anything?
So we live in Calgary, and I can tell you very confidently, this team is generating no buzz. Nobody's talking about these guys. Normally you hear rumblings on the radio or, passerbyers in the street who are willing to talk about how badly things are going or how well things are going. Nothing. I haven't heard diddly fucking squat about this team all season. Mm-hmm. And you know what? I'm a little indifferent on it.
Yeah. I was going to look up... What was I going to look up? Who is a Calgary Flames representative at the All-Star game? Do we know that?
This is a fun game to play. See if you can guess it without knowing it.
They just have to give it to Jonathan Huberdeau because he makes the most.
Lindholm, maybe? Elias Lindholm?
Yeah, okay, Lindholm. I like that. Yeah, Lindholm. There you go. Awesome. There you go. Nice. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Calgary. Be better. Be better. And with that, we were through 3 terrible Canadian hockey teams.
And just past the 25th spot in the standings.
Great. Edmonton Oilers. How are they still 21st? How terrible was the start of the year that they're on like a 14-game win streak and they're still 21st in the league?
This is, if this doesn't summarize the roller coaster that's been the first half of the Oilers season, I don't know what does. Things are going well, and it's fucking a little disheartening as an Oilers fan looking at this team, looking what they're doing on the ice, and still seeing them sit outside of a playoff spot. They're getting closer. They are getting closer. But at the same time, you're like, fuck, man, like, what a disastrous start to the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and it is. There's lots of drum beating, and everyone's like, oh, we got to do something. They turned it around. Again, like, they've won... Oh, man. They've got quite a few wins, I guess, since we last talked. They lost to Tampa Bay, and then Florida, the Islanders. But then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think they won the other day, right? So 6-game win streak after that. It's pretty solid.
I was going to say, it's probably like a 12-3-1 run or something. Maybe 12-2. Anyway, something like that.
And
it's been a good run.
And their schedule gets pretty light. Like, they've got Detroit coming up and Toronto. Maybe Seattle, but other than that, like, some bum teams coming up on the calendar, so just keep chipping away at it, right? Early out, I think I had some future bet that I was saying, like, just put money on McDavid every year for MVP. Like, it's just such a surefire thing. Like, you'd feel stupid not making money off of it. Start of the year felt kind of stupid. I think he's coming along, and I thought I saw his name on almost the leaders list the other day, so... Yeah, he's now 3rd, so Connor McDavid probably will still win the MVP after... getting like 2 points in before December, so it's pretty good.
He had a 5-point night the other night against oh my god, who was that? Maybe Anaheim? I can't remember now. Anyways.
Oh yeah, the 31st. Yeah, we watched part of that game at the New Year's Eve party. How's that?
Yeah, but for me, what's captivated my attention lately is the renaissance of Stuart Skinner. This guy had a shutout. Maybe the game before that 7-point outburst, it was like a 5-0 game. Maybe it was San Jose. I think it was San Jose, actually. 5-0. Shutouts still count for Stuart Skinner. He needs them now more than ever. His save percentage is trending upwards, I think, the night after, or not the night after, his following start or the start before, he's at like a 94 save percentage. So anyways, he's seemingly escaped the, dreaded first, first quarter, first half slump, whatever it is. He's at least pointed in the right direction. And they don't need him to steal games. They really don't. Mm-hmm. They just need him to be average. Just be average, Stuart Skinner. And on most nights, that will be good enough for the Oilers.
Solid. Yeah, the offensive error is pointing in the right direction in Edmonton. So hopefully we're talking about a rise over the next little while. And I think the same thing happened last year. Like, if you went back and looked at the tape, when we're poking fun, because like we literally look at the standings almost every single week to encapsulate it. I think the Oilers were still like down in the low 20s or something like that at one point, and almost won the Pacific, right? So all things normalize. But that's two more teams. The two terrible Alberta teams still in the 20s. But that means we get to play another round of Puck Doku. So I know your brain's been racing this whole time, trying to get that answer that I just couldn't think of.
It has been. My brain has been working overtime trying to get coherent thoughts out, but at the same time also coming up with an idea of, I just opened my phone, Puck Doku's playing a fucking ad. Fuck you, Puck Doku. Anyways, trying to, multitask and, man, make up a 6-point gap early. That's huge. Huge.
Well, I'll be honest with you. On the plus side, it's probably like, you're probably gonna hit a couple 50s here or something, because I don't think I know literally a single name on the board. So I'm gonna take a couple swings here. I'm like, that guy definitely plays there. So we're gonna go play Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota Wild. I want top center square. I want Nino Niederreiter. Nino Niederreiter. 37%. Okay, all right, under 50. That's good. Yes, I'll take that.
You know what that is? That's a name that I didn't even think of Nino Niederreiter for that square. So, I feel better entering my next pick because I was fucking sweating bullets. I was like, oh man, I didn't want this to come back to bite me. But I started thinking very hard. And my immediately I was like, okay, there hasn't been a ton of Russians drafted over the last little while.
Yep.
But then I immediately went to the New Jersey square. I was thinking, Alexander McGillney played with New Jersey. I don't know if he was drafted. But then I also started thinking, Brian Rafalski. Brian Rafalski's played for two teams in his career, New Jersey Devils and Detroit Red Wings.
Okay.
I don't think he was drafted either. And it's one of those things where, you know what, maybe they're both wrong. And I'm torn between McGillney and Rafalski.
All right.
I'm going, you know what? I'm going to go Brian Rafalski.
All right. Brian, that is a hell of a pull right there. That sounds like a 15%. So look at that. After all that, Grant comes ahead. I was at 22 to 37.8 with one round left to go. So
I'm going to put McGillney on my side to see if this comes up. McGillney was incorrect. I don't know if you can see that.
Should have taken that. Should have taken McGillney. Should have talked you into it. Son of a gun. Huh. All right. The Rafalski one. As soon as you said that, I was like, I'm pretty sure he is. Like, I know 3 undrafted players, and I don't think they hit the categories. So wait. No, not yet. Okay. All right. Let's keep it rolling up. So we're into the teens. And I think the next team is probably, there you go. At lucky 11. We get the lovely and talented, just like Grant. Ooh, Noah Chadwick signed with the Montreal. Oh my gosh, what's in the emergency? Toronto Maple Leafs is the team I was trying to say. I don't know what's happening there. I'm sorry. Toronto, what's going on? What's going on with Toronto?
I still think that. So last year I was all on the Mitch Marner train. Guy doesn't get enough respect. I still contend Mitch Marner does not get enough respect in Toronto. No. But I'm more and more pushing William Nylander to that end of the spectrum. I know it's a contract year. I know that changes things. I know it changes the dynamic and how things play out and blah, 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 blah. But, like, why is Austin Matthews still, like, number one? And I will give you an analogous situation. few years ago, Leon Draisaitl was better than Connor McDavid. And it felt like Leon Draisaitl was getting the respect that he deserved, where he got the Hart Trophy. I think he got that other trophy that the players bet on, which is that the Pearson.
Okay, yeah.
And McDavid was, not behind the scenes, but an afterthought behind Leon Draisaitl. I don't think William Nylander's getting that same respect this year.
It's... I don't know. Is it just like the lack of consistency that we've kind of seen like over his career?
But is he top 5 in scoring still? I think he was top 3 for a while.
He is top 5. Yeah, I think like he absolutely is having a career renaissance, and I'd say that's almost analogous to just the Toronto Maple Leafs in general, right? Like they could be potentially a dominating, crippling force, but then they just go away sometimes. And then they play really terribly. So the little stretch right before Christmas, on the 21st, they got shellacked. Well, it was like around the 5th goal they kind of stopped. There was like a 9-3 loss in Buffalo. I watched that game. Around the 5th goal, guys literally started just like skating around, not checking, not like literally doing stuff. So it looks bad, but it's not as bad as it could be, right? They had a couple losses there with the Senators, Blue Jackets, and Canes, and then they came back and shut out the Kings the other night, and I think they beat Anaheim. So you get embarrassed by Buffalo and Columbus, and then you can shut out the Kings. I don't know. It sounds like that's just kind of up and downs of the season. They're still top 10, and I don't know. We'll see. I think we might see Nylander making an All-Star appearance this year. I think that's kind of the big push. I know Matthews got the initial kind of name on the ballot, but I imagine the fan supporting probably will go William Nylander, so we should see a little bit more kind of kudos to him. And I don't know.
Okay, I also can't let you escape this segment without talking about Ilya Samsonov. My fucking heart broke for this guy.
Yeah.
I was listening to a post-game interview after he got shelled the other night, and everybody just fucking threw him under the bus. Like, I honestly thought the guy was going to cry, where it was like, it's just not going well, or it's not going right, it wasn't a good game, like all the stuff that he was saying. And then, like, I get it. Hold these people accountable. That's your job as teammates, as coaches, and you're not there to fucking soak the entire... Or it's not Sheldon Keefe's cross to bear Samsonov's performances. But at the same time, man, like, fucking shelter him a little bit. Don't, you know, steer the bus and, like, back over him again when he's fucking crying in a post-game interview, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a tough situation with the Wall injury and Samsonov's just lack of confidence. Like, they coincided at the same time when he needed to step up. He wasn't able to step up when they kind of requested him. Because if he was having this kind of skid and they had kind of, let's say, like a more of a number one net presence that wasn't like 32-year-old Martin Jones or something, on his like 5th team in his career kind of thing, just like trying to scrape by on his good looks. Like, I don't think the story would be as bad, but it's Toronto. Everything gets overinflated, right? And yeah, Samsonov, they didn't sign him to a multi-year deal. He looked really stupid.
Okay, so I was talking about going through the Penguins draft history the other day. In my, poking around on the interwebs, I can't remember what year it was Tuukka Rask, but I went to whatever year Tuukka Rask was drafted, and I was scrolling through, and of course I saw Leafs drafted him first round, was 20th, 22nd, something like that. Does that hurt more? Like, I know that he wouldn't be around now, but does it hurt more knowing that you missed out on Tuukka Rask?
Absolutely not. They would have wrecked him. Like, I don't think Tuukka Rask was... Boston is an incredibly... They've just always been... They have a good defensive system. It's kind of the identity of the team. They had Chara playing there in kind of the prime of his career. Tuukka Rask, I think, was more a product of the system... And if he was in Toronto, like, he wouldn't have been doing the same things, right? You could have had some old guy that used to play for the Jokier come in or something, win you a Stanley Cup in Boston, right? Like, I don't think it really wasn't really the quality of the goaltender, so absolutely not. They would have just ruined it. So,
well, maybe the hockey community is better off because of that trade. So you actually gifted Boston potentially a Stanley Cup win.
He didn't play in their Stanley Cup win. He was in net when they lost to the Blackhawks. So really, Tuukka Rask really didn't do much in his career.
So what was that? 2011? No,
that was
2012.
Yeah,
no, 13. 13.
Was it 13 or 12?
12 was Kings. I remember 12 was
Okay.
Kings.
So yeah, it would have been the 13 year. That was like Tuukka Rask's like big year. So
Sorry, it was 2011. It was 11.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, oh god, man. 10 was Chicago, 11 Boston, 12 Kings. Must have been. I should have just went Stanley Cup winners instead of Boston Bruins Stanley Cup.
Yeah, but
anyway.
but you're thinking of the 2012. I don't know. I feel like Chicago beat Boston at some point. That's probably the thing that happened, right?
So wait, did Tuukka Rask get a ring with the 2011
Well, he
team?
did.
He
was a backup, though.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Old racist Timmy Thomas did the heavy lifting that year.
That's the one. That's the one. And a Leaf segment full of Tim Thomas references. More could you ask for? More could you ask for, Toronto? Yeah, I don't know. They're there. They're kicking around. Their defense is awful. It's atrocious. But like sometimes their like terrible defenders play pretty well, so that's kind of fun to watch. You have to learn. Yeah, it's like Simon. Who's their guys right now? It's like Matthew Lagesson and Simon Benoit or something like that. That's like their like third line pairing. It's just absolutely atrocious. He's like, and they play pretty well. Like they're big, they're physical. They're kind of like the guys the Leafs have always wanted, and like they've just dumb lucked into it. So I'm like, good for them. Okay, cool.
Wait, like the Oilers' old William Lagesson, that guy?
Yeah.
What was trade? What trade was that? Or did they just let him go?
He was just a free agent signing. Yeah, William Lagesson, if he was ever with the Oilers, he definitely plays for the Leafs now and is putting up some pretty solid minutes. So,
well, you're welcome.
Yep.
I'm gonna have to. Yeah, he. What is that? I'm on Hockey DB. It's not super clear. 57 games with the Oilers across 3 seasons.
There you go. Yeah, so not all is there, but now they're talking about he's probably made a roster spot in the playoffs. So there you go.
Man, he's +1 too. That's not bad.
Real deal. Just like the top 5. We have to go to the top 5 to find another Canadian team. We get the Winnipeg Jets. Oh boy, are they cooking, aren't they? Whew. Maybe, I don't know. It was more of a question. Is there fire? Do they have fire in Winnipeg? Are they cooking?
So Winnipeg, it seems like. Yeah, they're making the most. I know we were shitting at them at the start of the season. I still think they deserve some of that shit because they've failed to live up to expectations for as long as they have. And the minute we are just like, no, this team is done, all of a sudden they turn things up and they're competing for a Central Division championship.
Sure.
And it's not like Connor Hellebuck is a big part of this too, but their offense is clicking. Hellebuck's doing what they need to. Their defense is, oh my God. Who is the defenseman, Mick? Who is the defenseman? The Canada Puck defenseman. Tucker.
Oh, Tucker Pullman.
Tucker Pullman.
Yeah.
They're Tucker Pullman free, and all of a sudden they're on their way to bigger and better things. It just hurts.
It does hurt he was probably their worst player. I don't like that. That hurts. It's like a personal attack on us, and that's what hurts the most. I mean, the other part hurt them. No, okay, right. Jets. You guys are clipping. You get the Sharks, Ducks, Coyotes in this little bit, and like Columbus, Chicago, Philadelphia, Islanders. You just keep doing some like housekeeping, winning the games you should win. Yeah, good.
Is the Central Division not as imposing as I think it is? Is that contributing to this?
The Pierre-Luc Dubois trade, the fact that they got a pretty decent return, right? And I think what we're seeing with hockey right now, too, is it's just bodies. It isn't like a superstar league, it's a balanced league, right? So getting Pierre-Luc Dubois out and bringing in 2 pieces just gives more depth, gives coaches more things, different ways they can construct lines, they can kind of ice different products. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing as a product of just like trading an A for 2 B pluses type thing, right? In terms of just on ice talent, and you can do so much more, right? That's all Seattle was. Like, was there any like superstar player in Seattle the last couple of years? No, but like last year they went to the postseason and they made some noise based on just a lot of second and third liners, right? So I think just depth-wise, the Jets are now a little bit deeper, right? They have the needle riders already in their system. They're not like chasing those like third liners at a deadline or something like that, right? So
Yeah. So there is something to be said about depth scoring. I agree 100%. But it doesn't feel like, to me, when I look at this team, it doesn't feel substantially better than past iterations. It doesn't. I don't look at this team and think, that getting rid of Pierre-Luc Dubois for fucking Alex Iafallo was the trade this team needed to push them over the edge. But it was like you're right. That was a dynamic shift. Maybe it was a locker room shift. I don't know what it is. That's made a difference for this team. And I'm just having a hard time reconciling what has changed from year over year that makes this team so much better than what we've seen in the past.
I have absolutely no idea because, on paper, this team is not the strongest that we've even talked about while doing this show. But sometimes bad teams are just up high in the standings for, like, really no reason. And you just kind of have to say, like, I guess sometimes sometimes you win games earlier in the season. Sometimes you lose games, right? Are the Jets or maybe another team we're talking about significantly better than the Senators? No, but it's just kind of, I don't know, how like the ice tilts some years, right?
That's a best way of putting it. Some ways, just the way ice tilts.
Like, if you're going to sit here in the Jets and like point at the Senators and laugh at them right now, I would just hope that those Winnipeg Jets fans don't have a long memory, because this is one of those things you might like regret. So if anyone who's like up top making fun of the Senators right now, again, you might regret this, because just saying, some teams will fall off. But that's 2 more teams, guys. It's 2 more teams. That means there's only 1 more team left on the schedule we haven't talked about, and they become the Canada Puck champion again for this week, like they have all season long. You could probably figure it out. But before we do that, we got to play one last round of Puck Doku. Grant has a commanding 15.8% lead. So, all right. Last round, last pick. I don't even know if I know anyone on this at this point. Oh boy, it is bleak out here.
I have a few. Not even a few. I have 2, and one of them is like super shaky. It's like, so. Anyways, I'm excited to see how this plays out because
it's exciting.
I could get a little reckless with my next pick.
All right, I'm gonna go with the big dog that I'm seeing in the board, center square. Go Zach Parise, and hopefully it's under 50% and significantly that Grant can't beat me. So Zach Parise. 38%. Okay.
Hang on. Let me do some math here.
Yeah, that's 38 plus 0.8. That's right. So I have a 75.8 minus 15 minus 7. So, as long as you could actually just miss and win. So you have a 53.8% lead right now. So as long as you don't guess someone who's higher than 53.8%, you win.
All right, this is going to get a little greasy, but I'm going to take this shot because I think, again, I guess the last thing I want to do is take a popular pick and potentially sewer my chance at winning. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to just shoot from the hip here. 5 teams played for, undrafted. Again, so I mentioned Russians. The other category that came to mind, college kids. College kids don't always have the best track record of getting drafted. There's kids who come up as free agents. Anyways, 2 names came to mind, one of which I immediately ruled out, and that was Justin Schultz. And I don't think he's played for 5 teams, but I'm pretty sure he was drafted by somebody. Okay. The player I'm less confident of, player I'm more confident wasn't drafted. Again, not a certainty, but I think so. Drake Kajula. I know that this guy has fucking bounced around from team to team to team, and I think he came out of the college ranks, and I'm not sure if he was drafted.
All right, Drake Kagula from 2016 to 2023. 0.9%. Oh, all right, so you only beat me by 52.9%.
Hang on, I got to see if Justin Schultz was drafted. I think he was, though. Justin Schultz. Incorrect.
You really went with your gut on that one. Yeah.
Sometimes has been a conscious effort. When you're betting and sometimes you fucking get stuck in your own head and you just end up doing the exact wrong thing because you can't get out of your own head. I've been trying to avoid that. Okay. It's been paying off gambling-wise for me. Paying more maybe putting more emphasis on intuition and just trusting your gut and doing the right things. So anyways, 22.9%. I'll take it.
Yeah, sweet. Awesome. Want to finish up this grid?
So there was the other square I was thinking of was Avs, Devils, and this is the shaky part I was telling you about.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there was a backup goalie, and he was played behind Brodeur, probably like end of the 2000s, and for the life of me, I couldn't think of the name. The only thing that I could think of was Mathieu Garon, like Matthew Garon, Garon, but I don't know if he played.
Huh.
Let me just see here.
Yeah, that's a tough one. The only other ad was Jets, Avs. I think Paul Stastny played there, but I think I've picked that one before, and it's like a high, like maybe 50%, even 60%. So.
Yeah, it wasn't Mathieu Garon. Fuck, man. Let me just go see if I can do some digging. You take a few shots here, because I got to rate my brain.
Paul Stastny. Let's see. Ooh, 49%. So it would have been just under a miss. Cool. Great. Really crushing it with those high 30s picks today. Grant's trying to figure out that one. And then undrafted player that played for the Winnipeg Jets.
And does this was... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just riffing. Nothing important. Nothing important to say here.
Was it Johan Hedberg? No, he didn't play in Colorado. Anyways, I don't know what this is. Keith Kincaid. Oh. Anyways, I don't know who I'm thinking of. Right. Yeah, it was Keith. It was Keith Kincaid.
Okay.
He played one game with the Avs. Anyways. So you can put Keith Kincaid in there, and I suspect it's going to be less than 1%.
Yeah, can't imagine. There's a lot of... 1%. Perfect. We're on the dot. Now we just need an undrafted Winnipeg Jet.
I should know this. Was Tucker Poolman drafted?
Oh, Tucker Poolman. No way. Tucker... it's not even like a top name. Tucker Poolman. No, he was drafted. Brendan Dillon. Anyone that we were looking at that were like, what was the best answer there? Ed Belfour. Undrafted, played for 5+ teams. Ed Belfour, Adam Oates, Cujo, Cam Talbot, and John Scott. Oh, speak of the devil. Huh.
Old Johnny Scott, hey?
Neil Ponk. Undrafted Jets. So Brendan Dillon, Neil Ponk, Brandon Tanev, David Riddich, Alex Iafallo. All right. Cool. Chris Kunitz apparently wasn't drafted, so...
Did he play with Winnipeg? Or did he play with Atlanta?
I think he played with Atlanta, and it's one of those screw ones where sometimes it counts, sometimes it doesn't count. I don't know. You can't go too far back in Jets history, because then they become the Coyotes. Let's just not go there. All right. But back to the standings. From 5, we have to go up to the 4 spot to the 3 spot, where we find the Vancouver Canucks nestled up top amongst the big guns, like the New York Rangers and the Boston Bruins. A couple of these things in the top 6, like the Rangers and the Bruins and the Canucks and the Av and the Jets and the Knights. There's something about those teams up the top. Can't quite put my finger on it, but some of those teams just don't seem like they fit there.
You know, this is a good day if you're for the Tucker Pullman, for dozens of Tucker Pullman fans out there, because this is another segment where we get to talk about him. Because he's now a Vancouver Canuck. At least I think he's still a Vancouver Canuck.
In terms of Vancouver, what they've done the last couple weeks since we've spoke, I don't know. I do know for a while they were dominating the point leaders, right? So when you looked at the who had scored the most points, it was all Vancouver Canucks, right? The Quinn Hugheses, the other players that play there. I'm sure there's more than just one guy named Quinn Hughes that plays in Vancouver. Maybe a Pettersson or like a JT Miller. There you go. They came to me. And they've definitely fallen down the list, so I'm not sure exactly where the scoring is coming from in Vancouver, if it's just more of a spread-out approach, if they're winning kind of more games based on less offense, more defense, although it still looks like they're high-scoring games that they play in, so I'm not entirely sure what happened with that stats. Just everyone else caught up, I guess?
I haven't done a big deep dive on the Canucks in a while. But I do know Thatcher Demko's been a big part of their success. At least before the break, he was leading the Vezina category. Maybe we talked about that a couple weeks ago or last time we recorded. Anyways, this team has captured lightning in a bottle. There's no other way to describe it. A team, even the premise of it's still materially the exact same team applies even more so to Vancouver than it does to the Jets, because I don't think they did anything this offseason. They may have moved on from a few pieces. They definitely didn't add too much. And all of a sudden it's working. It's working.
Sure. They have a plus 46 goal differential on the season, so they're scoring at an exponential rate. And Demko's probably helping some of the bleeding on the back end, so that's probably a big step too. Maybe his health wasn't in question. I haven't really know too much about the Vancouver Canucks. I'm trying to avoid it if I can. I find it's bad for the health if you watch too many Canucks games. So it's like, I think, there's just like a weird inflation that happens somewhere along the line, that those numbers are going to seem inflated, right? Like I mentioned that the scoring leaders were all Vancouver Canucks at one point. So they obviously had some offensive outputs early on. Guys just weren't stopping them, and they kind of kept rolling and snowballing. And we'll see how things level out here. In their last 10, they are 7-1-2. Pretty good. All right. I was going to make fun of them. Yeah.
This team has, I've been waiting for them to hit a wall, other than it wasn't even a 5-game. It was like a 4-game span where I think they went 1-3 and 1-2 and 1-1-3. The bottom's just not falling out. Mm-hmm. And I've talked about this in the past. Sometimes these metrics just have a funny way of balancing out, and maybe this was paid with last year's inefficiencies. It's just working this year. Things are just working. And I wish that there was an angle where we could shit on this team, but I don't want to shine them up so that they win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, that's fair. They're scheduled. I know people were saying they played the Sharks 6 times. They literally may have played the Sharks 6 times, and the Sharks were horseshit for the first 4 games of the season. One time the Canucks scored 10 goals against the Sharks. That really helps your goal differential when you score 10-0 in a game. So take that with a grain of salt. But it does get more difficult as you look at the schedule ahead. They've got the Devils this Saturday. Then you get the Rangers. Penguins are coming up. You see the Leafs. And then in February, I saw some Bruins. I saw some Bruins twice. Penguins again. Capitals, Kings. I think the schedule, I imagine, probably gets harder for them as they kind of go forward. So as we're kind of watching them, they've got some tough stretches ahead. So we'll see. Hopefully the scheduling gods are kind to the Canucks, and I wouldn't make fun of the Ottawa Senators if I was the Canucks. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, you don't want to tempt too much. So this is an interesting brief look ahead. So there's a couple stinkers mixed in there, but even the Coyotes aren't as bad as they used to be. This is how Vancouver ends the season. Golden Knights, Coyotes, Kings, Golden Knights, Coyotes, Oilers, Flames, and then Jets. So their postseason is basically going to start April 2nd.
Yeah. Well, that's what I bet you over the next little while we see a more humbling Canucks on ice product. So if you watched up until this point of the season and you think they're great, you got some mental health issues, because obviously we don't start watching hockey till January 4th. So I'm not entirely sure what you're up to with that, but
listen to this. Away. What the fuck's going on in Vancouver right now that they're on a 7-game road trip? Is it a curling bonspiel? Is Scotty Tournaments a Hearts? I don't know. Oh,
where do they play? Rogers Place? Oh, no, it's in Edmonton. Rogers Arena? Yep, there we go. Rogers Arena. Tickets. What thing's going on? SmackDown.
Okay, well, we should have planned our January a little better.
There we go. That's the difference. Damn SmackDown this Friday. Oh, we better clear out for a whole week. Hulk Hogan might be coming to town, guys. You know how he feels about Swedish people.
I was going to toss in a Ric Flair woo there, but I wasn't sure if people would appreciate the irony.
Yeah, it's fair. All right. Cool. So that's it. So that wraps up. We're all caught up. Are we caught up? Or we just vaguely talk about some teams?
Yeah.
Not great.
I enjoyed not talking about a few teams this time.
Oh. Yeah, we'll get back more into it as we kind of go forward. It's good just to have a stepping off point, so you have kind of like a litmus test, like, oh yeah, that's where they were at. No, they're doing better, or they're doing worse, right? I find that helps kind of a lot when you're discussing, especially hockey over like such a long period of time, because things just change day to day and month to month. And although I was gonna say minute to minute, I don't know why I went day, month, minute. All right, cool. So, Grant, you won, and what Grant won was we were doing a pick series. We picked 3 games for the upcoming weekends, games that we're like excited about, draft style. Grant can go first, as well as he gets another pick that doesn't actually count towards his schedule if he gets it wrong. So just basically like a free win if you pick it right. Currently, I believe the score is, what do I have? 9-3, and Grant is 6-7.
Yeah. Underwhelming, but I'm going to turn things around this weekend. I got a good feeling. And I am starting with we'll call it the Hughes Bowl, because the Quinn Hughes is playing the Jack Hughes in the swampy meadowlands of New Jersey. I think that this game on Saturday night is going to be one of the most entertaining affairs. Both teams can score. I'm tired of I bet against the Canucks a few times over the last little while, and it burnt me. I got away from it, but I do believe that this is the toughest game to lose. Okay. So I think kid brother Jack Hughes emerges victorious in the Hughes Bowl. Devils are beating the Canucks on Saturday night.
Solid. Like it. That was on my list. What do I like next? Let's stay on, I think it's Saturday? Or is it tomorrow? No, Saturday, 4 o'clock. So in the afternoon affair. We get the runner-ups in the Stanley Cups. The Florida Panthers going up head-to-head to the Vegas, I don't know, I'm sorry. Colorado Avalanche. I like Colorado in this fair. I think we're going to see, although Florida is playing good hockey, not Vegas. Stop saying Vegas. They're not involved in this matchup whatsoever. My first game is I want Florida, Colorado. For an afternoon affair, like 2 o'clock, flip between that and like a football game, it sounds like a pretty nice Saturday afternoon. And I think the Avs will come victorious away from this one.
Florida's, on an extended western part of the country road trip. I think that is a spot where they fall absolutely flat on their face. Love that pick. I am going to probably an unsuspecting matchup, and this is more value. You'll get more value from this lineup or from this matchup betting it, like using betting prices as opposed to just in a straight up pick the winner that me and Mick are doing. But the New York Rangers and Montreal Canadiens, original 6 matchup, Saturday night in La Belle Province. Montreal Canadiens, as we've seen, they have a tendency to just turn things on when they need to, or it comes in bursts with them. The Rangers, this is going to piss off a lot of people, aren't as good as they appear, and they are just, when you have skilled players, it basically compensates for poor analytics, because you need fewer opportunities when you have guys like Panarin and Lafreniere and Adam Fox, everybody they have on their basically the top 3 lines. You don't need a million chances when those guys are burying 12 to 15% of their shots, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So it's also an unsustainable way of winning games, because if you're constantly getting outplayed, you're eventually going to have a few duds. Mm-hmm. You're going to run into a hot goalie. You're going to run a little cold. I think Saturday night Montreal is going to be one of those times. They're going to tucker themselves out at Shea Parade the night before. I will be betting a lot of real money on this game, likely when the line opens up, and I think the Canadians are going to be undervalued. Probably one that I'll consider as a shootout, but I think Montreal Canadiens emerge victorious.
That's solid. Nice. I'm going to also stay on Saturday night. It's a hot day. A lot of good games. I'm looking, though, specifically for the beautiful Sunshine State down there in California. I like me some Toronto Maple Leafs playing the San Jose Shark, and the story that you didn't know you needed. Martin Jones on a hot streak, returning to San Jose to avenge the team letting him go. I don't know if he has bad feelings about the Sharks. He probably had a lovely time there. Seems like a lovely organization. So I do like the Toronto Maple Leafs doing the Sharks on Saturday night. And that's against my emotional hedge. So
That's a bold play.
Mm-hmm.
This is again a super square angle, but I'm going to share it anyways. Has Martin Jones played the Sharks before?
He must have. He played like 30 games for Seattle last year, so.
Okay. Anyways, if this is his first trip back, I'm sorry to say he's going to fall flat on his face.
Okay.
And that is when I see goalies go back to their old stomping grounds, it sometimes doesn't always end well. But for your sake, for your emotional well-being, I hope you are right.
So he returned. Look at this. Internet. In 2013, he was with the Kings. He beat the Sharks. And then it was the Kings he lost. And then he just didn't play. I don't know what O means. Overtime loss, maybe? No, but because he was with the Flyers. Okay. And then, yeah, won one, lost one, so.
Did he get absolutely torched when he was in San Jose, his first game back?
1 goal against.
Oh.
The most he gave up was when he was with Seattle 2 years ago? Or, yeah. No, I guess just even last season. 5 goals and 4 goals against, so.
Yeah, okay. You get one good game, one good revenge game, and then they just fall flat on their face.
Cool. Can the Leafs score like 6 goals? Could it be 5-6? Probably. Would I pick an over in that game? Yeah, probably.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, there you
Dig
go.
it.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right, your third game. But not final game, just your third game.
So I've been a little torn on this. I kind of want to go off the beaten path, but you know what? Maybe I'll save that one. I am going to say this game in years past would have been drawing a lot more attention than it is this year, and probably rightfully so. But the Lightning and Bruins, like you talk about, for years these were basically the two juggernauts of the Eastern Conference, two divisional foes. It was just like all the makings of a heavyweight matchup. Lightning aren't as good as we expected them to be, and I think this is foreshadowing what to expect from them basically over the next decade. Because when you trade away your first-round pick for 3 years in a row, sure, you want a Stanley Cup, but you're also robbing your franchise of future years and future successes. So, Lightning at Bruins. Bruins are still somehow managing to win games, and I think that this is a good example. This is going to be a good example of them just being able to run train on a overmatched Lightning squad. So I'm taking the Bruins to beat the Bolts.
Solid. And in weeks past, when we're doing this, I like to roll around to the Sunday afternoon because hockey is not just a Saturday night a game. It also happens on Sunday. So we like to look at what's that big, nice, juicy matchup that the NHL has for us on a Sunday night, and I couldn't find one. So I'm just going to pick the Jets to beat the Coyotes. Because in my mind, the Coyotes suck. That's all the logic I'm putting on that. I was very disappointed with the schedule on this Sunday. It's not even like football playoffs. You have really nothing to compete against. We're going to be seeing like third-string quarterbacks throwing to like fourth-string tight ends in a Kansas City game that has no consequence. And you have nothing to compete against with it. So, cool.
I was looking at this game, and it's the Coyotes Bowl because it's the old, it's the Jets Bowl.
Jets Bowl, yeah, cool.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's fun.
Yeah, there you go. So that's the angle I was taking. The Jets Bowl.
Okay, so this is lackluster. Nah, you know what? For some reason, I'm just drawn to this Kings Capitals game. I think the Kings are absolutely gonna fucking smoke them, but I'm not using that as my official pick. Hopefully, I'm going to take even lower hanging fruit and going to an even higher scoring game than what you're expecting in San Jose versus the Leafs. The Oilers are hosting the Senators. I know I was just tooting Stuart Skinner's horn, but he's also still Stuart Skinner. And the Senators, I like their reckless nature, and I suspect this one's going to get out of control. I think it's going to be high scoring, 7-3. Not out of the question. I wouldn't even be surprised if it was like, 6-5, 7-8, 8-7,
Sure.
something like that. But I do expect the Oilers to prevail. I am taking the exact same angle as Dumpy is, and I'm betting with my heart. Oilers beat the Senators on Saturday night.
Scary stuff, guys. New year. Look at that. We're throwing out our favorites on tickets. Scary stuff. So good luck to you. And I hope that Oh, no, I was going to do a funny thing about New Year's resolutions and hockey teams. They only have them till like the summer. And it's kind of like our resolutions. You know, you want a good butt for like your friend's wedding, look good in that bikini. Then you kind of just give up midway through. It's kind of with the hockey teams. My analogy wasn't very good. Damn.
Well, the butt stuff got me going.
Okay, all right, then I got your attention. But before... Oh, wait, I think you do that part.
We got one more segment, and the Canada podcast would not be the Canada podcast without our Babe of the Week. You may have recognized that this past weekend was the Winter Classic. Seattle shut out the Vegas Golden Knights 3-0. What I took away from this contest was not watching the game. Uninterested, didn't watch it, don't really care. Saw some stuff on social media. But what really blew me away was the amount of influencers that were at this game and invited to do some on-ice stuff. So guess what? We've replenished the coffers, and I'm excited to share that Rhea Rust is our Babe of the Week. REA.RUST. Assistant coach of Terrier, Boston University Terrier hockey team, former D1 and pro hockey player, Rhea Rust. She was on the ice in Seattle, and she can skate away with our hearts anytime she likes. Rhea Rust, Babe of the Week, Schwing.
Schwing, indeed. Yeah, very nice. Very nicely done. There's also a pro women's hockey league that I think just debuted the last couple days. Apparently they've had some pretty good viewership. I'm not sure entirely if it's on Sportsnet or just via internet, but apparently it's fairly physical. It's a pretty good brand of hockey. So if you're out and about and you want to watch some hockey, maybe check that out.
I did see this. I think there's 6-team league. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't think it's western part of the country though. Is it?
I've heard someone else talk about it on a podcast, and I was going to mention it. Maybe someone, if listens to this, goes out and searches it. I've passed on my baton in the relay.
There you go.
Yeah, that's all I was going to do.
We're mid-league guys, so yeah.
Yeah.
The baton is yours. Go run with it.
Exactly. Cool. So with that wraps up a solid week. Well, no, not really. Doesn't really wrap up anything. Just catches us up from the new year, winter break, get the ring rust off a little bit. Hopefully the emergency helps, and have a fun weekend.
Yep, spit on it, it'll start moving some more.
There you go. Sweet. So with that, I think we're all done, and all we have to say is, party on, Grant?
Party on, Mick. We'll see everybody next week.